All right, let's have a little tour of this urban garden.
Let's have a little, I guess, where to start?
First of all, it's very, very green. That's the first thing I've noticed.
Yeah, it's very lush. That would be the regenerative systems we put in, I think, and the fact it's all polyculture. There's no single species here. It's all biodiversity. It's all mixed and matched, and we put a lot of emphasis on really good soil. And that starts probably with our compost systems over there. So we've got community compost. Anyone can drop off their waste any time. And we add seaweed and biochar and get the ratio right. And it's amazing stuff.
And for the people that don't know, what's the benefit of having lots of different species instead of just having one whole garden bed that's just one species?
So it's all about those microbes and that bacteria and that fungi, and by having different species in there, those plants are feeding different sugars and carbohydrates into the soil. By having a range of plants on top, you're feeding a diverse population of soil and of microbes, and the more diversity you have in your soil, the stronger it is too against pests and diseases. And it's a lot like us, I think. If we have a healthy society with lots of diversity, then it's the same for soils, So given at least, they say at least 4 plant families. So, for example, this bed here, we've got snow peas at the back, capsicums, mustards, daikon radishes, spring onions, Tuscan kale, massive choco vine, and that's all just in one bed. And then, it's all a lot of diversity here, and it's also just having that different layer of root systems, having different light coming in. This bed here, we've got endive, lettuces, passion fruit vine, runner bean or green beans, eggplants. For some reason they're still going, even though it's winter and they should have finished. Again, more spring onions for that deterrence of pests, Cape gooseberry, tulsi plants, even the weeds, or so-called weeds, wood violet sorrel. We let it go, and that's a really edible one as well. So we actually put that into our
you can just eat the flowers of these ones?
Try it. And you can eat the leaf.
That's actually quite nice.
You don't want to go crazy because it has the oxalic acid in, but a little bit. Have you tried the leaf?
No.
It's real lemony, really lemony.
This one here? Mm-hmm. It's got a bit of dirt on it, but that's all right. It's like a sweet spinach.
So
I feel like.
Going with the flow as well, with the permaculture side of things, is observation and learning, and it's going to be feeding the soil as well, so it's keeping that microbe population up. And it's really, the more you learn about soil and how the fungi works with the root systems and the endophytes and endomites, it's crazy. And I used to worry a lot about nitrogen here and going, I need to feed my plants nitrogen, that's what makes green leaves, right? But I was just listening to the podcast Regenerative Agriculture with John Kempf, and from the States, and it was amazing interview, and saying how you get a lot more nitrogen uptake from plants from the breakdown of microbes and them dying, and from their cells breaking down and their skeletons breaking down. Heaps more than what you'd ever get from a fertilizer that you give to the soil. And actually giving too much nitrogen to the soil can affect and break down the aggregates in the soil, so you're compromising your soil structure by feeding lots of nitrogen. So it's kind of, again, it backs the point of feed your soil and have a healthy soil. And we've really changed here from our concept of feeding fertilizers to actually just feeding the microbes, and that has seen a huge difference. And one of the reasons I think we're still getting eggplants at this time of year. Last year you couldn't grow eggplants this time of year. Maybe global warming and climate change too, but technically they don't really like it below 13 degrees, and we've been dipping beneath that at night. But because the soil is stronger and better, the soil food web can actually handle temperature changes a bit more. So that's what's keeping the plant. And you can see we've got, we were going to overwinter these. So we're being on the coast here. We're literally 100 meters from the beach. So we can, those blocks are looking over the beach. We don't get frost, which is amazing, and we don't usually dip too much beneath 10 degrees or 13 degrees, which the capsicums and eggplants don't like. So what we do is overwinter our eggplants and capsicums. So you can see here, this was actually the size of this. So we cut it all down, take off all the leaves, and then just kind of hibernate it. And then, it will come back again. And we did that to these eggplants last year. And look at the size of it, they're actually trees, which is, it's such a
amazing.
good, and like I said, because we don't get the frost, we don't have to take them out of the ground like some people do with overwintering, but we've had hundreds and hundreds of eggplants off these. This is one eggplant.
It's amazing.
This is one plant. So,
but
then we can intercrop as we overwinter. So we've overwintered a few capsicums in this bed. And so as we overwinter them, so here you can see it's just all the leaves and the stem. And then we can interplant with our cool season crops like the broccoli. So and everybody loves broccoli. So that's working really well. And it also, again, the brassica family are going to feed the soil in a different way and give them different sugars. And it's a pretty good little system because we're only quarter of an acre here, so we've really got to maximise space. How this is kind of special is, like, you can see we pick everything fresh. It's like for absolute freshness and ultimate nutrient dense food. As soon, like, this is, I always demonstrate to people, so this is 100% fresh. And then that is 99% fresh, and then it degrades so quickly. So the fact that we pick all of our farm boxes and the lady's just picking one up now means we can pick it half an hour before she gets the box. Same as the box we're doing for you guys is picked half an hour before you get it. So I don't think anyone else in the world's doing that. So
definitely.
That's kind of why I think it's the healthiest food you can eat. It's organic, it's spray free, it's in regenerative soil, and it's picked fresh. Unless you're growing your own, then you can't really get it this fresh. So.
And I'm sure that would affect the nutritional density of the plant if the longer you go from when you've picked it to when you've eaten it.
100%, it degrades straight away. So the fact we can, because I was thinking when we set up this social enterprise is what's unique about doing a farm right here, and it's that we are in where everybody lives, so
there's houses over here.
We're surrounded by houses and by the community, and a lot of these high rises by the ocean here, they don't have access to veggie gardens, so they can come over here, and we've got our farm gate over there where we have bits, but our main, how we're geared up is to put that food into our farm boxes. We do 10 a week at the minute, and we sell out each week, and they're $45 a box, but hopefully we can by the end of the year do 15 to 20 boxes, so that's the goal, and that's a lot of food for a small space. But the fact it's all pick and come again, a lot of it. For example, with the spring onions, this is real regenerative in a way, is we just chop them at the ground level, and that's the bit that people always chop off anyway. And then that will just regrow for us as well. And so you're not wasting any time, and you've got spring onions continuously growing, and it's the research has shown that just having plants in your soil is one of the healthiest things for your soil. So we never have a bare patch of soil here. It's always plants feeding those root exudates into the soil. And that's, you really see the progression.
I was going to say, when you look into the bed, you can't really see the soil, like especially over here. It's almost like a carpet of just green. It's amazing.
There's always something growing, and like we talked about, that variety, and if there is a patch, then it's got mulch on it too. So there's never really bare soil. And then even we're growing in the sides here, so you see this
so cool.
mustard has just started growing. We've got parsleys and corianders, they seem to go really well in the side, again maximising that soil space.
So is this intentional, taking out the side of the bed? So one of the questions I want to ask is, if you could start this garden over with the knowledge that you have now from all of your years of gardening, what would be the biggest thing that you would change?
Good question. So probably one of the initial things is thinking about microbes and soil and what makes microbes happy, they like a spectrum of heat.
Yep.
They like an adequate amount of water, not too much, not too little.
Yep.
And one of the problems with these beds is the metal. It actually affects both of those issues. It heats up too much in the summer,
Yep.
and it also heating up, it then dries out the microbes. And microbes are 90% water, and if you don't have adequate water for them, then they will go dormant, and that will affect the growth of your plants. So
Yep.
we didn't have a watering system in here, and so one of the ways, and you might be able to see from some of the structuring, we actually have two systems here. So in summer, it's all this is all grown over.
Yep.
We have vines, we have snake beans, we have pumpkins, we have passion fruits, we have gourds, we have Italian gourds over there. We've still got a bit of that.
Oh wow, yep.
And yeah, all stuff. Just the choco is a great shading plant too.
Yep.
And cucumbers as well, many
Yep.
of the cucurbit family. So that then shades the metal.
Yep.
And that will keep it a bit cooler. But in the winter, the initial idea was actually to grow stuff out the side, and as you can see here,
Oh yeah,
it
blocks the sunlight.
Yeah, it blocks some of the sunlight, and also and we've had it a lot better in the past.
Yep.
Where we've had Lucern's a really good one to grow on the side. It takes up a lot of space and there's a nitrogen fixer.
Yep.
So we usually have a plant that's going to try and benefit the soil. So the mustards can benefit the soil. They can act as a bit of a biofumigator for nematodes. So, but to be honest, that one just spread itself there. So like a lot of plants here,
so cool.
we just go with the flow. If it works, then we let it be. You know.
Yep. So for the people that don't know, what's a biofumigator? Fumigator.
I think it's actually more if you dig that into the soil, but if you have nematodes in your soil, which can be a real bane of pit gardeners' life, you can grow mustards, and then it's more when you dig them in that will help get rid of the nematodes. Which is, we had nematodes in that bed there, and that's why we planted all those mustards. And it seems to have got rid of the problem. So yeah, root nematodes can be really devastating. Yeah, because you can't really do much about them. They're in the soil and you don't know till it's too late.
Right.
But again, biodiversity, having a stronger soil food web, that will then put the nematodes as well into balance. So yeah,
So if you didn't use the metal, what would be, do you think, the best material to use for raised garden beds?
The reason the metal got used was it's the cheapest, and we needed a lot of it when this original community garden was established over 15 years ago now. And yeah, it did the trick for the time, but if I was to do it again, we are actually making more beds the other side, so I know exactly what we're doing. We're making hardwood, actually recycled hardwood from a demolition guy, Morris at Hyena. He's selling us some cheap hardwood. That's all reclaimed from old houses, and then we're going to be using that, and that's going to last a good 10 years. Whereas this stuff here has lasted 14 years, so it also lasts well, but we've had to replace some bits from rusting out, and there's, you can see some of the corners we've had to replace, and but the hardwoods hopefully, and we're also making them, hardwood will, it'll be less, it doesn't transfer heat as well, you know, so it will be more insulated for the soil. It will actually also feed the fungi network, and we'll be making them wicking beds too, so they'll be constantly self-watering systems as well. So it'll be really easy for they're all going to be hired by the community. We've got a list of people wanting to hire beds.
Oh wow!
So there's a lot of people wanting to grow their own food, and we're making this side the urban farm, and then that side will be community hire.
Lovely. Should we have a look down the rest of the
we
garden beds?
Got far, actually. So we've got zucchinis and eggplants, tomatoes. We recently had a grant from the Environmental Ministry to input a larger water tank to make us water self-sufficient, and also that put in irrigation into all of our beds.
Is that drip-fed irrigation?
Yeah, drip-fed irrigation. That's all automatic. I can actually water from my phone at home now, which is
that is amazing.
It's a long way from when we started, which was 2 watering cans nearly twice a day, you know. So it means we can concentrate on growing, and it probably leads to one of the other questions. is consistent watering is really key for your garden. You never want your soil drier than a wrung out sponge. If it is, then it's got a bit too dry. So having this watering system has just been an absolute game changer.
Yep.
It was expensive for this size, but you can do it cheaply quite easily and put them on timers.
And do you think drip fed irrigation is the best for gardens like this, or would you do it differently?
For what we have, I would, it's good because it doesn't waste water.
Yep.
We've only got that 25,000 litre tank and this 12,000 litre tank, and through the dry season, previously we didn't have the larger one, so we would run out of water, and that was obviously quite a big issue for a farm. Yep. So we would end up using town water and let it dechlorinate and leave it in the tank for 48 hours, but it wasn't ideal. But now we've got the water capacity. If I had endless water, I would have sprinklers on, so you're spraying the whole area, you're spraying the leaves, you're spraying everywhere and giving it a really good soak, whereas at least the drip line will restrict water waste, and also it directs the water where it's most needed, which is at the roots. And it's really a game changer. And any garden, I do some consultation jobs, so I'm always like, sort your irrigation out first. If you can't do that, you can do OLAR systems, which I can show you those over there. Real cheap way of setting up watering systems in your garden. So
sounds good.
Yeah, let's wander on down. Let's see what else we got.
Just noticed a little tomato here. I'm just going to snack on this while we walk over.
Tastes good.
Very good. 99% fresh.
Yes. Yeah. That's
Didn't eat it off the plant.
These again, it's in our boxes, which is what the whole farm is geared towards. We always have veggies, fruits, roots, salads, and herbs. So it's within that there's about 20 to 30 different varieties of plants. So that gives you the variety that we need in our diet. So that's another health factor that it's ticking off. All the beds are geared towards that. So the varieties we have here, tried and tested, and we know what works well in what season now to really make it productive.
Yep.
Snow peas are coming on superb. They just amazing. Love it the winter here.
Yep.
We had snake beans, and it's not looking great now, but we had them all through the summer, and for some reason they're still growing now too, and we've harvested even some today, which is again bizarre.
I've just noticed this little device here. What's going on here?
So that was one of my first year ideas, and they're good, but they are worm towers. You can direct feed the soil with compost in situ is basically what they are. So it will have holes all the way down, and you put some food scraps in and some wet paper towels and wet newspaper on top, and it just feeds the worms. So it works well. We probably spend a bit more effort now on just making really good compost and putting it on the beds, but we do still feed them occasionally. We also have, it's quite a good technique, is the plastic containers around the any young seedling. That's just because we have a lot of volunteers here. It helps all the volunteers know, okay, this is a baby seedling and it needs a little bit more love and care. It also helps with hardening off because it protects it from the wind, which can be more evaporating than the sun. And then we pull them off when they're probably ready to pull off now. And then we sort of create its own living mulch where possible by having them quite intensely farmed, close together. But we feed a good, before each planting, we feed a few inches of compost. We use rock minerals through the whole bed. We then water that in with sea soil. Depending on the plant, we try and tailor the fertilizer to what the plant likes a bit more, So if it's a leafy green, then we put a bit more nitrogen in there. If it's a fruiting plant, then we put a little bit of an all-rounder fertilizer in there that's a bit higher in the N, P and K, or more even in each. And if it's like a root veg, we put more like a blood and bone, so more nitrogen and phosphorus in the planting. But it really made a difference on giving the plants all the minerals they need. And that's all the trace minerals. It's not the big NP and K. And that was listening to John Kemp and reading a book by Matt Powers called Regenerative Soil, and it really reiterated the fact that if you give the plants all the minerals they need, then they can produce their own immunity, and then they will be strong, and then you don't have to worry so much about NP and K, because if you have strong plants, those roots will go out and find those macronutrients. I find a bit better. So we put a lot of trace minerals in now with the hull, and yeah, we feed a lot of worm tea as well, and that has the trace minerals and the microbes to go with it. So yeah, we've really seen a difference in our plants since we've been doing that.
Yep.
So
lovely.
yeah, come on. What else have we got to say?
I've just noticed up here as well. There's some well, I forgot the name of it. These little the spider, the furry things.
Yeah, Italian gourds or Kakuza.
Kakuza, yep.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got spiders everywhere. There's such a good wildlife population here.
Yeah, that's natural. No pesticides. No herbicides. That's what you see.
Spiders. We have blue-tongue dragons often around. There's tons of insects, tons of predatory wasps. We do have our own beehives. We have native beehives. Yeah, it's a real holistic approach to having plants that are constantly flowering. Like this flower here is pretty cool. It's one of my favourites.
The eggplant flower?
No, it's actually, that's a Cape gooseberry. So that's this one here. So it's growing alongside the eggplant. The eggplant one is this one here. But yeah, I could see, yeah, they're a bit joined up, those two.
And it's really cool how you're using the whole space. You're not just using, the ground level. You're also using height as well.
That was one of the things we sort of identified when we first started the farm, was it's not very big, so we need to maximise growing space. And if you actually laid out one of these beds, it's about 3 times the size. In the summer when we have things growing all along the top, all up the side, and then over the trellising as well, you've tripled the size of your bed, which is handy for home gardeners to know as well if they're a bit short of space. It also creates a coolness and brings the temperatures back into a healthy spectrum for the plants, whereas it can get in the summer here, too warm. So that's probably it's so easy to grow this time of year when it's cool. It's just
much easier on the body.
Yeah, you grow the right crops, they grow themselves, So we do have a bush turkey population moved in, so we have to cover all of our seedlings now with netting, but we've actually trained them quite well to not destroy the beds. They just poop on us when we're in that on the table over there. So not ideal, but yeah. No, we've got dragon fruits. Bananas, the broccoli is going really well. So this is this is
that looks delicious.
Yeah. So we were talking about the immunity that plants can build themselves if they have the right minerals, adequate sun, adequate water, and the right microbes. And you can actually see it here. They will put sugars and carbohydrates onto their leaves to say to the bad pests, this is a healthy plant, don't eat us. And pests can only eat simple sugars, whereas if they have all of those 4 factors we're talking about, if they have all of those, they can do first, second, third, and fourth metabolisms, and that can prevent disease. And the pests can actually, they can't eat it. They come close and they go, oh, this is, I can't actually eat this. Where you see we've had a few pest attacks there, but yet they haven't eaten the whole plant, and we haven't sprayed with anything. It just takes care of itself. And you can actually, so if you look at the leaf here, you might want a close up on this. I don't know if the camera can capture this, but it has a bit of a glisten to it, and that glisten is the carbohydrates and the sugars, and then the good bacteria that comes and eats it. So that's me taking off its shield in a way. But you can see we honestly don't have many problems here. So yeah, it's fantastic to actually see that in nature and happening naturally, and we emphasize all of our growing like that now, and because it's a small scale farm, we can.
Yep.
It's not broad acre, you know, we can really micromanage, and if we have a problem, then usually, again here there's a few holes,
yep.
but the plant is fine, and honestly, we haven't sprayed it or
yep.
touched it, or, you know, it's just fought nature fighting back with healthy plants.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and you're actually solving the problem at the core, and I think there's a link between plant health and human health, you know, and it actually, I was listening to, it was, Graham Setz from Nutritech at Yandina Solutions. He was talking about the phytoalexins, I think they're called, and
phytoalexins.
Yeah, so when a plant can do that second metabolism, they actually produce these phytoalexins, which are commonly known as essential oils. Those essential oils are what can heal us from diseases ourselves.
Right.
So if they're doing that already, and we eat them, we're getting those essential oils.
Right. So
and that's when food really becomes medicine. You know?
Right.
But that only happens if your plants are super healthy, and we don't monitor that in any way. There's no way. You have organic plants, but you can actually measure the sugar content of a plant with a refractometer.
Oh, is that the thing that you look through and
it gets a Brix reading. Yeah,
right,
so you can, and if you have a higher Brix reading, then it's going to be able to produce those first, second, third, and fourth metabolisms. But you can see that's happening anyway here because it's fighting off itself, and that's pretty cool to know that's I think where the future of regenerative agriculture and where food is going, where we actually might even have a Brix level. You know, this has been tested at 12 is what you're probably aiming for, or higher, and then we will really be able to know, you know, if the food's as nutrient dense as people say, or if it's not. But they've been talking. Check it out, the Regenerative Agriculture podcast with John Kempf. It's an incredible podcast.
Okay.
And then there's the Nutrition Farming by Graham Set at Nutritech. It's really where the world needs to be heading. You know, this farm is a farm that takes care of the environment as well as human health. We have the community composting. We're looking after the soil. We're looking after the wildlife by giving them a habitat. We're not cutting and slashing. Everything here is cut and come again. There's always plants growing. There's a lot of, we grow all of our own seedlings. We have our worm farms. We make our own fertilizers. We can go and have a look at those if you like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We also use foliar sprays. So Matt here is, instead of, you can see there's a little bit of disease on the pawpaws. So instead of going, there's a disease, and spraying it with a fungicide, we're actually spraying it with sea salt and worm tea.
Oh wow.
And we found that had an amazing benefit with them. It stopped it in its tracks last time we did this.
So that's just pure sea salt and water?
Sea salt and worm tea, yeah.
Oh, right.
So Matt, one of our fantastic volunteers here.
Hey, Matt.
Did a great job. So we also have a bunch of volunteers come through here, 30 to 40 odd volunteers.
Wow.
People from the NDIS, people from Centrelink, people who want to socially connect, people who want to grow and learn how to grow organic food. And so it really is a great place for people to, a hub for connection, you know, and that helps us with, providing cheap organic farm boxes for the community, you know. So other farms charge, you know, a lot of money for an organic farm box, whereas ours are, I think, relatively cheap, you know, moderately cheap. So so we've got a beehive behind here, so we often get honey from there as well.
Oh wow.
Let's go and say hello, see what they're doing. We've got our pond.
Jump through the bush.
Our pond here for nature as well.
Where's the pond?
It's right there. So someone someone chucked a jacuzzi and a toilet over the fence, so we turned it into a pond.
Recycling.
Yeah, that's it.
It's amazing.
They're a bit quiet at the minute. They don't like the rain too much, but But sometimes we have lots of honey, and sometimes we don't. Yep. So this is a date time.
It's amazing.
Yeah, again, it's just to increase pollination really for us, and then we get the perks of the honey too. We don't force feed them sugar syrup or anything like that. If they want to give us honey, then we get honey, and as soon as we do, it sells out because it's real raw local honey. You know, you can't get much more local than here.
At the moment, all the melaleucas are flowering. And all the native, like all the basils, and so if you give them fresh flowers and stuff that they like.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you were spraying all this with pesticides and herbicides, and the bees bring that back into the hive, and then it goes in your honey, and then you eat it. And then
that's big problem with glyphosate and
so a lot of times you buy like bio insects, so you actually can buy in insects to fight off any pests that you have in your garden, and they live in here and battle any nasties without having to use chemicals.
Yeah, so we're expanding to the other side of the building here. So we're putting in a native bush tucker zone, a fruit orchard, and more community beds for hire. And yeah, pretty exciting stuff. But this was our ginger bed. Gave us a ton of ginger with the wet summer this year.
There's some.
But yeah, quite a good little cheap watering system. They're called Olars or Oyars, if you pronounce correctly. And it's just a pot that is turned upside down.
Oh wow!
And all terracotta pots are porous, and so you just fill that up with water. Not that we need it in this wet week, but yeah, it fills up with water, and then you can water about here. So certain plants really don't like drying out. So a lot of the tomato plants don't like drying out. The cucurbit family, they don't like drying out. So you can put an Olar system on there, and it's I mean the pot that costs you $12. You can just get a plate from your mum's pantry and you'll be good to go. And you just glue the bottom hole up, and then you just fill this up, and that lasts 4 or 5 days. So so again, a little for the dry season, real handy little cheap watering system. But yeah, this bed isn't linked up to our irrigation yet, so that's why these are still in here. But again, really good soil actually holds on to water. Really
actually, we might get a video of the soil over here. Like you can see how black and great that is.
You want to stick your finger in. That's the compaction test. You can get your finger in pretty easily there.
Yeah, that was pretty easy.
Yeah, so that's good. You can even see it's not compact. It's not hitting it and it's going stuff. So that means there's oxygen in your soil. The microbes, they're a lot like us. They need really the main two things they need is oxygen and moisture. So that we've talked about watering and we're talking about compaction. So if you actually pick up this soil here, let's have a little look what we've got going on here. So you can actually see some mycelium.
Oh wow,
which is good.
That little white thing
that
there.
White stuff there, so that's beautiful.
And mycelium?
Yeah.
That's the fungal network, right?
That's it, worms, and then it's dark, it's aggregated. That fungi is really creating a whole network for nutrients to travel across to support plants, to increase, just to really improve the soil in ways they don't even know about yet. So you can see the soil here. You see how it's aggregated? There's more hyphas in there. That's clumpy. The mycelium network there. That it's not sandy and it's not just clay. That's actually bacterias. They glue the soil together to make these little clumps, and then it's them working together, and then hey guys, it's then the balls that are connected to each other that make that porous in between, and that's where oxygen and water can store, and roots can move, and it's really, that's the sign of good soil. If you have aggregated soil, dark and rich, so that means it's a good pH, and it's full of organic matter. It's good soil, and you can go anywhere in this farm and it's pretty much like that, so, and that's just from composting and mulching and consistent watering and natural fertilizers, and you can improve your soil pretty quickly. This is lemon basil.
Oh, yeah.
And it might be to one of your questions is grow things that grow easily in your climate and in your location and your microclimate. Basil here notoriously gets a black disease on it in the humid summertime, which is when basil likes to grow. So we grow this lemon basil instead, and it just has a real basil flavour, but just a lemony hint on it. And it also has these beautiful flowers that the bees,
it's gorgeous.
the bees just love them, and constantly seeing bees in here. And all of our sort of patrons we've converted to the lemon basil from normal basil. So growing stuff that grows well in your climate and grows like a weed is what I've heard some gardeners say. If it grows like a weed, then that's what you need to grow, and maybe not be so fussy in what you eat. So we have the choco over there, which is quite a polarizing veggie, I find. You have some people either love it and some people hate it. So it depends if they were force fed it as kids, I find. But I'm sort of trying to bring it back because it's such a versatile veggie, and it can be added to soups. It can be made into desserts or used as an apple substitute, like McDonald's did a few years back. They got in trouble for it though.
Oh, right.
They snuck chocos instead of apples because they're cheaper.
Much cheaper, yeah.
And that one vine, no joke, we get 2,000 chocos off of one vine.
Wow.
Which is, if apocalypse come, you just need some chickens in a choco vine and you'll be sweet.
Grow chocos.
Yeah, grow chocos. So, they're pretty
and the
cool.
sweet potato, it looks like just overflowing. So good.
Yeah, that was a bit of an experiment here. Being a small farm, this is quite a cool picture. Oh, actually, no, it's not. So you see this here, all the raindrops? That's actually known as the fourth phase of water. So traditionally they thought you have ice, water, steam. There's actually a fourth phase, which is like a gel-like state. And that is the stuff, when it gets in contact with a non-porous surface like this and it gets hit with infrared light, it can then create these gel-like state. And that stuff is just, it helps your body and plants uptake minerals way quicker when those minerals in a gel-like state like that.
Right.
So that's basically what's inside a plant. And so if you eat plants, you're getting that gel-like state full of minerals as well.
So is that why having a irrigation system where it's spraying water everywhere better, because there's more of the water on leaf contact?
Potentially, yeah, that's an improvement. But I think by spraying everywhere, if you have that water capacity, you're just giving everywhere a really overall soak. So everywhere's getting evenly soaked. Whereas with the drip irrigation, it can be kind of localized to those bits of the water. It could be a bush turkey pooing on us, so maybe we'll move away.
I saw something
Yeah,
falling.
something fell. So we just had, being a social enterprise as well, we're part of, we're a charity, so people have donated us money and different things. So RECQ gave us the money to make this into a greenhouse.
Wow.
So we'll be able to grow, we made it ourselves pretty much with the donation, but we'll be able to grow things all through the winter that don't usually like the winter, like capsicums. We got some capsicums going here, I think.
Wow, look at that.
These are Macroni capsicums. You generally get a lot more fruit per plant on them, so that's why we like to grow that variety as well. The tomatoes are just going gangbusters in here. This is one plant.
Wow.
Going mental. Probably needs a bit of trimming up. A bit of pruning. Comfrey as well, really good one for permaculture. And then
And I've heard that with comfrey, you can just like pull the leaves out and add them back as mulch onto the soil.
They're an incredible plant, known as knitting bone. Can actually fix broken bones.
Knitting bone. Okay.
Yeah, I had a client or a customer here. His mum used to work for Melbourne Hospital, and after the Korean War, a lot of people injured. They used to use this on all their patients.
Wow! So just wrap it around the wound.
And then the pharmaceutical industry got involved and
shut it down.
shut them down because it's too easy and free for people to grow. But you can also make a weed tea out of it. So come on down.
Yep.
Oh, so yeah, we make all of our own, a lot of our own fertilizers.
Yep.
So this is just old weeds basically. We chuck in there.
Oh wow.
Add some water. Add some microbes, ancient indigenous microbes from our local rainforests, and that's using what's called the jadam technique.
Jadam.
Yeah, which is also known as Korean natural farming.
Yep.
KNF. A lot of people get into that, and basically you're making specific. So we got. Sorry, Matt. Matt's doing one here. So we've got. We always basically have a fertilizer on the go all day, all night here. So
wow.
We have old paint strainer bags. So in there will be compost or worm castings, and then we just add water and then squeeze it out, and you have an immediate worm tea fertilizer, which is just full of good bacteria, full of low doses of trace minerals.
Yep.
And we've started doing that, and the plants have just taken off, you know, because they're so healthy. They can just stay alive, and if they're healthy, they keep growing, you know.
Yep. And that would cost nothing to make. It's just compost.
Zero cost. Yeah, zero cost.
So good.
Yeah, and we we literally we just use this all day, all night now, and it just never stops.
Yep. And you
so
soak that overnight, or is that?
No, just you fill it up and strain it straight away, and off you go. And like you said, we got our own worm farms over there, so that's free. Got our own compost, so that's free.
Yep.
And then Matt's going to be doing it as a foliar spray, and it just means you can spread out. If you don't have much compost, or you don't have much worm castings, and you never have many worm castings, or you never have enough compost, so it just makes your ingredients, your materials last longer.
Yep.
You know, so you can actually get that goodness to the whole farm, not just to the couple of plants you can put it around.
Yep.
And it spreads a lot further than you know, if you use worm castings, it can take time to apply it all. Whereas this, we have it, like I said, going, and you just water fertilize them all the time, and off they go.
Lovely.
And then here we do all of our own seedlings.
Oh wow. Sorry about the wind too, guys. It's a bit windy at the moment.
So we start off in the micro blocks, and then this is something our volunteers really get into. And then when they germinate, we can get 160 seeds in one tray, which is a really efficient way of adding variety and diversity to our crops out there. And once they germinate, we then block them up into these bigger blocks. So yeah, this one probably needs potting up, but this is a broccoli. So yeah, no single-use plastics. It's got a beautiful root system.
Yep.
There's no transplant shock. It doesn't spindle around in a pot. And yeah, so we find it's a fantastic method. And, you know, this is the variety we got in here: spinaches, celery, parsley, kales, broccoli, flowers, calendula, Queen Anne's lace, lettuces, rocket, pak choi, silver beet, eggplants. Yeah, just
so good.
Yeah, from a small space we can do a lot of plants,
and it's cool that you're not using a lot of seedlings. They're in plastic containers and little tubs. It's cool that you can just use this device to just create little tubs, I guess.
Definitely.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool little method. For our size farm, it's a great little technique.
Perfect, yeah.
It's actually something a lot of the volunteers like to do, because it's like baking little mud cakes in a way, which is what they always joke around.
Yeah.
And it's and it just works really effectively.
Yep.
Lovely. What else were we going to show?
The speaker. That's what I was.
Oh yes.
I think it's turned off. Oh, a little hydroponics here. Is that?
No.
Oh, it's just soil.
Yeah, there's actually a strawberry farmer. I'm not allowed to say their name, but he donated these strawberry plants to us. So it's really nice to even see big agriculture supporting. That he really enjoyed coming here and seeing our little mini farm, and you know, seeing how much we can do in a small space. And I mean, that's really my goal in the future, would be to produce one of these, use this as a template, and be able to make one of these small farms in every neighborhood. You know, because we sell the farm boxes, we need about 15 families a week. That's not a lot in the community to support someone's full-time job here. So that, and the extra benefits it brings, it has the community compost, it has the connection with all the different members, it has garden therapy, it does a lot of good things for the planet. It's there's a lot of pluses, and I think that's where this is going. I'd imagine is we can see this being spread out across the Sunshine Coast and see where it goes from there.
And this is only a quarter of an acre, right? And it's amazing to see how much food you can grow in just this amount of space.
Feed 15 families on quarter of an acre is
there you go.
It's pretty intense, but it's doable. You know? So that's the long-term goal. So maybe you'll see that come to fruition.
Part 2 video soon.
There you go.
Oh, it looks amazing.
So all organic, all chemical free, all picked fresh. We have, so you got the variety, so you got all your cooking greens. We've got Ethiopian cabbage, red garnet amaranth, which is high in B12, Tuscan kales with all those good microbes on there, mustards as well. Big bag of salads, so there's nasturtium flowers, rocket, endives, spinaches, Okinawan spinach, which is a pretty cool, not so purpley, but it's a
beautiful,
pretty cool plant. Celery, spring onions, ginger, Cape gooseberries. Have you had one of those before?
Never.
Try
one
of those.
Do you just peel it off?
Yep, just peel it off and I dropped it.
Just eat the whole thing?
Yeah.
Wow, that is really good.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Is that a vine or?
I think we passed it over there with the eggplant.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Sweet potatoes, avocados, mandarins, passion fruits, pawpaw, and then different range of herbs as well. So you got chives, dill, lemon basil, bay leaves, parsley.
So good.
There's over between 20 and 30 different varieties there, all grown in regenerative soil, and I consider this the healthiest food you can eat.
And a lot of this you probably can't get in Coles and Woolies, because this is not conventional veggies and herbs. This is stuff that, you know, grows like weeds. But
it's all seasonal. It's all sort of endemic. Well, a lot of it is, you know, like you said, it grows like a weed here and grows well, you know. So super stoked that this is our final product that we get to give to people. And I heard, I was listening to that someone say the other day, it's when you're doing this, you actually, you know, improving people's health, you know, which is one of the number one things you can do. And it's very rewarding to know that I'm doing that for the community and for our customers, and seeing them and seeing people actually improve their health as well. I've seen that happen here. We've even had a really courageous story. One of our customers, her husband had cancer, and he's actually said it was terminal, and he's having, after eating really good food and her really looking after their health and going the natural path route, those tumours are shrinking now, and he's actually just been in hospital to get it taken out, whereas before they didn't give them a chance on the traditional route. So to know that if this farm's done anything, it's helped keep father alive is, you know, pretty amazing stuff to know.
It's amazing.
That's we do 2 of these or 3 of these a day, and then 10 a week, and then we sell other odd bits. So we've got a Thai restaurant. They come and buy the beetle leaves off of us.
Oh wow.
But we really do concentrate on the health side of the boxes, and I find selling to community is the best way, rather than through restaurants, where that link of, and the restaurants aren't quite there yet. There's a few restaurants now that are becoming regenerative restaurants, and you'll start to see that a bit more, but a lot of cafes and things, that health aspect of how good the food is gets lost. So originally we geared up to sell to cafes here, thinking, we got cafes everywhere here, and then we just realized it wasn't the way to go with
they're not
what
ready
we're trying to do.
Yeah.
They're not. Yeah, and it's because it's about price point and
Yeah.
staying afloat as a cafe. You know, it's
Of
always
course.
a tricky business, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see when there are people who do want to work with us and really focus on how we can get the message across that this food's the best stuff for you. You know, so yeah,
it's very good.
Cool.
The last thing, you might have heard this Beethoven or whatever it is over here, classical music.
Ray J classic, yeah, all day, all night. I heard someone once told me it was about 528 hertz, which is the hertz of Imagine, and that's when the hertz that plants really like. But then it made more sense that it's the closest music that's similar to bird calls, and bird calls in nature can actually help flowers open up for attracting bees and things like that. So I think that's pretty much true. There's a video of David Attenborough doing it where they actually there's microphones that can pick up the sound of flowers that have pollen and flowers that don't. So there's a lot going on around here which we can't necessarily see or hear in our spectrum of senses. But I'd like to place, double my bets, or make sure we've got this going, and wedge my bets. That's the word. So yeah, we've got. So we play the music, plus we get to listen to it.
Yeah,
so,
it's amazing. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to put one of those in my garden.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, it's good system.
Well, thanks for that tour, Simon. That was amazing.
That's right.
Appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you for
Very
coming
nice.
by.
No worries.
Thanks for seeing the farm.